Hey everyone, welcome to this section of Easily Learning Basic Math, where we will be learning one of the most important topics in math, fractions. Fractions is one of those topics in math that most people find difficult and intimidating, and maybe it's due to the fact that it just doesn't appear as regular numbers the same way other math topics are presented, or maybe it's just you never had someone teach you from a student's point of view. And that's one of the main reasons why I was inspired to create this course because just like you, I struggled in math when I was in school, but through hard work and endless hours of studying and experimenting, I became great at math, and that's what I want to share with you. So I want you to keep this in mind and never forget this, and it will become more and more obvious to you as you watch this course. Math is not hard. All it takes is practice and learning the right steps, and that's what I'll be showing you in this section with fractions. How to solve any fraction problem step by step and never worry about not being able to solve one again. So what will we be learning in this section? First, I would like to start things from scratch, the same way I do in each section of this course, and it's by explaining and showing you visually what are fractions and what is the use of fractions. Then, we will be learning how to add and subtract fractions, followed by finding the common denominator. Then, we will be multiplying fractions, and to conclude this section, we will be dividing a few fraction problems. Great! We have some amazing things to learn, so let's get right to it. So what is a fraction? The best way I can help you visualize what fractions are, I want to use as an example something we all enjoy eating, pizza. I want you to visualize this big circle as a pizza pie. And let's say, for example, you order an entire pizza pie for you and your friends. When the pizza arrives at your door, you have an entire pizza or one whole pizza. So let's say, for example, you take one slice since you're hungry, you no longer have a whole pizza. You have what's now called a fraction of the pizza pie, and that's basically what fractions represent, something that's less than 1. Could it be pizza, numbers, money, etc.? Let's go back to our pizza and say one of your friends takes a slice of the pizza and now it looks like this. I'm sure you've heard before the word half, which means you have one whole thing, you break it into two pieces, and one piece is taken and you're left with half. That's what's represented here by our pizza pie. One half on the left, which is the red, the other half is eaten, which is represented by the green. And the way you write this in a fraction or mathematical terms is like this. The bottom number, which is 2, represents how many pieces you have in total, which we can clearly see we have 2 halves, so we have 2 in total. The number on top represents how many pieces we have left. Remember, you had a slice and your friend had a slice, which was half the pizza, so that means we have half left. And this line here basically lets you know you have a fraction or you're dealing with a fraction. So this basically means 1/2. In this case, half of a pizza. Now, let's look at another example. Let's say again, we have our whole pizza pie. We set it on the table and no one has taken any slices. Let's say we want to divide it evenly among you and your 3 friends. Since you watched the division section of this course and can divide very well, you figure you all can have a slice. So you decide to just cut the pizza into 4 slices. Let's see what that looks like. If we count the slices, we can clearly see we have 4 in total. And remember, a few seconds ago, I said the bottom number of a fraction represents how much in total. In this case, how many slices in total. And the top represents how many slices you have left. Let's say, out of politeness, you decide to give your best friend the first slice of the pizza. What would that look like? Let's say we gave him the green slice. Now, he has what is called a quarter of the pie, which in mathematical terms is called 1/4. And a great example of this, which will help you understand this better, is a comparison between a dollar bill and 4 quarters. Let's see what that looks like for a second. Let's say, for example, you have a dollar. I'm sure you know $1 can also be represented by 4 quarters. And let's say you go to the store and buy some candy for 1 quarter or 25 cents. Just like the pizza, this is 1/4 of a dollar, or a quarter of a dollar, the same as the pizza. I hope with this example, you can start to see the usefulness of knowing your fractions and how it can be applied. Now that we have looked at two fractions, 1/2, which we can see here, and 1/4, which we can see here, and the reason I bring these two fractions back is to show you that 1/2 is actually bigger than 1/4. And you may be asking yourself how when 4 is larger than 2. But if you look at the pieces, you'll see half is bigger than 1/4. And just to show you another example, let's bring back our dollar and 4 quarters just to show you that 1/4, which is 1 quarter, is smaller than 1/2, which is 2 quarters. Great. Let's look at this slightly different. Let's bring back our pizza pie, and let's say you and your friends ate half of the pie, which is represented by the green half. And let's say from that half, you and your friends break it into another half. Again, what would that look like? As you can see, here you took one slice, which is the green piece, and your friend took a slice, which is the blue piece. At the beginning, we had 4 slices, but now 2 have been eaten, so we took 2 pieces out of 4 pieces, so this fraction is 2/4. And the reason I show you this example is because it's very important that you understand that even though 1/2 and 2/4 look different, they are in fact the same. Let's look at the picture for a second. The pizza on the left, we cut in half, and you can see I have half highlighted. And when I highlight the other pie 2/4, you can see despite the other half being split in two, because you had a slice and your friend had a slice, it's still the same size. And to prove this to you, we're going to do something you'll be asked to do when solving fraction problems, and that's called simplifying. Let's take away our pizza for a second and just focus on the numbers. Here, we have our fractions which are equal, but to make sure they're equal, we want to simplify them, and simplifying fractions is sort of like balancing them out, also known as reducing them to their simplest form. The way we simplify them is by looking at the fraction we want to reduce, which in this case is 2/4, in order to see if, in fact, it is the same as 1/2. And the way we do that is by dividing, which we covered in great detail in the last section. So let's say we want to divide 2/4 by 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom as well. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, since anything divided by itself is 1. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So notice what we've done. We took the 2/4 and divided the top and the bottom by the same thing, and we arrived at a different fraction, which is 1/2. And there is really nothing else we can divide the top and the bottom to make it any simpler. So we basically just reduced this fraction to its lowest term, also known as simplifying, and we'll see many examples like this as we get deeper into this section. Simplification is what we will make the main focus of this first video because it will help you tremendously when solving fractions. So let's look at a few more examples. I want to do the following. I'm going to draw a few more pies, and I want you to try and think of what it will look like in terms of a fraction. So let's say, for example, we have something that looks like this. Let's once again bring back our pizza pie. The only difference now is we have divided it or cut it into more pieces, and as we learned before, we already know that the bottom number of a fraction represents how many we have in total, and the top represents how many pieces we have taken. So if we have taken one slice from the pie, what is this fraction? The first question you want to ask yourself is how many pieces were taken, and the second question is how many pieces are left. We have one slice that was taken, and the bottom is how many pieces we have left, which if we count the slices, we see we have 6 total pieces. So we call this fraction 1/6, which tells you you don't have a whole pie, you have 1/6 of a pie, which translates to 1 out of 6. Great. Let's look at another example. Here we have the same 6 pieces we had before, so we know the bottom number is 6 because the bottom number of a fraction represents how many pieces we have in total. But let's say this time we take 3 pieces instead of 1. What is this fraction? This fraction is 3/6, which also equates to 1/2. And you may ask yourself, how? And as we learned before, and as you'll be asked many times when solving fraction problems, we have to reduce it to its simplest form or simplify it. And the way we simplify it is by simply dividing the top by the same number as we divide the bottom. So let's divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Great. And here we can see that 3/6 is in fact the same as 1/2 when we reduce the fraction to its simplest form. This video is starting to become quite lengthy, so I want to stop here and continue simplifying a few more fractions in the very next video. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the very next video.